Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.
Oscar BEVIS for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm in the Matchroom bubble, joined by Mr. Adam Smith. How are you, Adam?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, looking forward to another show, Saturday night. I was just talking to Hannah Rankin, actually, which is a disappointment that we didn't get the Marshall-Rankin fight on. But, you know, this is the world we're living in. And we wish Peter Fury well. And I was just saying to Hannah that you know, as soon as we can reschedule that, we will. And it'll be a great fight. So disappointing that fell off the card, but some fantastic stuff ahead, and really looking forward to the main event particularly.
Yeah, when I spoke to Hannah yesterday, I said to her, I'll be honest, I know she's friends with Ellie Scottney, but I said, I'm surprised you're still here. Everyone's in that fight mode and you're not, and I'm still surprised she knocked around really here. Like, it's very professional about the whole situation.
Absolutely, I think that's a really good sign. She's with Gary Jacobs, who I've known for many, many years, and you know, it's a great time for women's boxing. It's fantastic that she's supporting her friend, Ellie Scottney, who I think is going to be a really precocious talent on the scene. You know, I'm really impressed with her in the amateurs, and I think she could have a professional style that's really going to excite. So I just think this is a boom period for the women. It's fantastic. You know, we've had some great fights in fight camp already. You know, we miss out on the Marshall-Rankin fight for now, but we will get it. And looking forward to seeing Ellie turn, and of course Chantel Cameron the other week becoming a world champion. It's just brilliant for the women that they're finally getting their rewards for all their hard work behind the scenes, and they're getting noticed, and long may it continue.
You mentioned a fight that happened in fight camp, and I just want to quickly talk about this, because I asked Frank earlier, and I said, when you've had something so innovative like fight camp, or something where the production was so slick, and the production will always be slick with Sky, you know, we know that, but was it always going to be a tough period to follow? You obviously had MK Dons, Peterborough. Frank said Sky going to sort of settle down in one location soon as well. But was it always going to be tough to follow something like fight camp from a WOW perspective, maybe? Yeah,
probably so. I mean, first of all, we didn't have sport for many months, and you know, Eddie and Frank and I and others sort of sat there thinking, you know, how are we going to come back? And the best way was to be innovative, to be different, to be creative, and that's exactly what fight camp was. It looked spectacular. It was a lot of work that went into it, organisation. There was a lot of risks taken, and no easy fights. The mantra as well, which was important because, you know, whatever level the fights were to put on, you know, we only had 5 fights or so to play with at that time on each card, so you had to make sure they were all competitive, and you know, there was a bit of something in there for everybody, you know, so which I think it was. I think people really enjoyed fight camp. I think they enjoyed the look, but I think the fighters enjoyed the fact they got, you know, a bit of star treatment. They got the sort of publicity in the bubble on the week, which is what we've kept. And on the night they get the sort of, you know, the big ring walks, and, you know, they're walking through the Matchroom garden, this sort of surreal but spectacular setting. And I think it really sort of, despite the fact that we all want fans, and despite the fact there was no crowd, it made them all perform sort of out of their skin. So even the ones that lost, you know, I'm thinking Sam Eggington, I'm thinking the draw of Harper and Jonas, the ones that maybe didn't get a win, that they went off as a success. You know, they went off, we wanted to see more. So I think that the fighters gave everything. I think they've really impressed me with the way that they've dealt with this year, physically and mentally. And as you said about Hannah Rankin, sort of there right now is you know, it's a real credit to her that she, you know, she's sticking by and around the boxing scene, and she'll wait for her chance, and it will come again with Savannah Marshall, which will be a great fight. But yeah, I think that, to answer your question in a sort of long-winded way, I think that the to follow fight camp was always going to be difficult. You know, it was a summer experiment. It was a great showcase, and you know, Eddie and I talked about whether we went on through September with it, but we decided to go out, you know, with the big Povetkin white fight, and that was sort of, you know, the end of that period. And then we sort of reassessed, and we thought, look, the best thing to do is just to get as many really good fights as we can on, to work on top box office events, and you know, to get a look, which I think Frank Smith and the team and Sky have worked very, very hard on achieving. I think it looked fantastic for Boazzi with the ring walks and the colours, and the, you know, it's difficult. You just got to try and do something different. And what we have kept is these bubbles, because obviously we have to for COVID testing, but also the fact that, you know, they're all in one place, and you know, they all feel like stars. Kane Baker's back again a couple of weeks later, and it's like, wow, another chance to sort of be under the lights and fight on Sky Sports. It's a dream for him, and that's great. And others that haven't got that experience yet, are frustrated, they want to get out, but the more we can get out, the better. But obviously we have to follow the guidelines, the restrictions, and keep up with everything that's happening and moving so fast. And health and safety, obviously the key, as more and more people are testing positive again, and that's difficult, especially in a small sort of boxing fraternity like we're all in.
Yeah, so it's funny seeing Kane Baker back in, because I know that after his defeat to Akim Fiaz, he sort of said, I wouldn't be surprised if in itself he gave it a couple of weeks and quit from the sport. So, and I know the Matchroom boys are calling him bubble wrap now, so he is literally like Matchroom bubble furniture. Lewis Ritson, top of the bill, he kept quite quiet yesterday at the press conference about Regis Prograis, which he knows he's going to get asked. We'd love to see Regis back. He was unbelievable when he came here last time, and an interaction perspective as well with the fans. But yeah, understandably keeping quite low key about a potential fight with Prograis when he's got Vasquez in front of him.
I like that fight. I like it a lot. I thought Regis Prograis was a tremendous character, as you said, when he came over to fight Josh Taylor. We spent a lot of time together. I played a game of chess with him as well. He was a very interesting character and a nice guy and a very good fighter. And it was razor thin, wasn't it? Josh Taylor deservedly won, I felt, but it was razor thin. It was a great fight, a great advert for boxing at the very highest level. And I'd love to see Regis Prograis back here again. Obviously, you know, we're all in a position where we just have to see what happens week by week. With no crowds, we want the fans back. You know, when's that going to happen? Are we going to have to wait until, you know, the spring, summer next year? Who knows? You know, hopefully AJ might, you know, fight in front of some people by the end of the year. We just don't know, or it might be into 2021. So I think until, you know, we know when the fans are back, you know, we want the Newcastle nights with Lewis Ritson, we want the nights in Leeds with Josh Warrington, you know, that's what, you know, the O2 nights or the Manchester Arena nights, that's what you want. That's what this sport's all about, you know, those big occasions. But, you know, Lewis has got a job to do here tomorrow night. Miguel Vasquez I've seen for many years. He's a very seasoned, battle-hardened fighter. I remember him fighting Canelo a couple of times a long, long time ago. So, you know, the timing should be right here for Ritson. It should be right. He should be fresher. But they've both been out for a while. He's been out a year since the Robbie Davis fight. You know, he's still, well, he's probably happier now that he's at 10 stone, not at 9'9" anymore, and sort of having to make that weight. So it's the right move for him. But still, he's getting used to it at this sort of level. So it's not the easy fight that some people are saying on paper. I think that it could have its tough moments, particularly, you know, on his own without a crowd. But I think that, you know, he's a sensible guy, Lewis. I think he'll stick to tactics. I don't think he'll get carried away trying to stop someone who's very difficult to stop. You know, if the knockout comes, it's a bonus. I expect him to come through it, but I think it will be a tough fight, and I think he needs a good, tough, hard fight. But like Joshua Buatsi had the other night, I think, you know, these fighters who are coming over and taking the opportunity of getting back out there, which is so difficult at the moment, I think they're giving it their all. So these fights are proving very competitive. So I'm hoping it'll be a real good, high quality 12-round fight. And if Ritson comes through, I would join your club in trying to get Regis Prograis made, because I think that's a great fight and it'll be a big step up for Lewis.
Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, the trilogy will not happen categorically in 2020. Obviously, we can't predict beyond, I'm not even going to bother predicting heavyweight boxing anymore, because it's just got to the point where the gods don't work. But yeah, it's not going to happen in 2020. UK return December 5th. Everyone's chucking their name in the hat. But first off, what was your initial reaction when you heard that, you know, after a whirlwind 7 months of injuries, ring walk suits, the split with Mark Breland, the trilogy won't happen?
I had an interview with Frank Warren a good few weeks ago now. I can't remember the exact date, but he told me that Tyson will be out before Christmas. And he said that if the fight doesn't happen with Wilder, for whatever reason, he'll fight in the UK. So it didn't come as a massive surprise to me that Tyson Fury wants to fight and wants to get back. I've spoken to Tyson a few times during lockdown, and he wants to get in the ring. And as I think every fighter does, and I'm sure Deontay Wilder does as well. Now, I don't know the severity of the injury that Wilder had. I've always been quite close to that camp with Shelley Finkel, and they've been pretty quiet, but Shelley was pretty reassured the other day that this fight would happen. Todd DeBerth said it was almost certainly going to happen on December the 19th. We didn't know about Vegas or where. So I expected that, look, if it wasn't going to happen or be announced in the next week or two, then it wouldn't happen this year. And obviously with what's happening in America as well as here, very, very hard to even predict any fans in there, and they need fans to make that big fight. So it wasn't a massive surprise to me. I wonder what Team Wilder are thinking about it. You're saying that it's not going to happen, certainly, in 2020. I think maybe they felt that it was and should be happening in 2020. So we'll leave that for them to sort out. I'm sure Deontay Wilder will get another crack at a world title, whether it's Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua or whatever. I'm sure that they will find a way to get him back in the ring very quickly come 2021. But if that is the case and Tyson Fury is fighting December the 5th in the UK, then we welcome Tyson back. Big fan of Tyson Fury's, love watching him. Went out to Vegas to see the second Wilder fight and thought it was one of the great performances from a British fighter abroad ever. I thought he was terrific. Obviously, Anthony Joshua regained his titles in Saudi, so it's the battle that lies ahead, isn't it? If they remain unbeaten. So we know Anthony Joshua will fight Kubrat Pulev, and I would expect Tyson Fury. Well, he's going to fight one of those names that Bob Arum's probably put in front of him. I'd like Oscar Rivas. I think that sort of makes sense. I think Oscar Rivas is a tough, hard fighter, but somebody probably that Fury would get through. And something like that I'd like to see. I know everybody, probably yourself and Coogan, have put their names in the hats as well. It's Lucas Brown's coming out, Otto Volla and everybody. But I'd like to see Oscar Rivas, Andy Ruiz Jr. maybe, someone like that. I don't know. It's not for me to decide. It's for Tyson Fury and his team. But yeah, I'm hoping that there'll be someone pretty competitive up against him, because that's what we want to see at the moment. We want to see really good fights. We've got a big heavyweight fight a week before with Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce. Looking forward to that. Of course, we've got Alexander Usyk and Derek Chisora, and the rematch between Povetkin and White. Some fantastic heavyweight fights before Christmas. So I really hope that the person in the other side of the ring, the other corner to Tyson Fury, is someone that's very, very highly rated and gets that opportunity. And it's not a sort of really easy fight for Tyson Fury, but that's what they're in charge of. And I think that Fury's made it very clear that he wants Joshua, and I'm sure that Joshua wants Fury, and they want to make sure they get through these fights. But Kubrat Pulev is a tough opponent, very dangerous for Anthony Joshua after a year out. And we'll see who Tyson Fury fights. But if it's someone like Oscar Rivas, he's got to be on his A game as well. Absolutely, they cannot afford to slip up. We saw what happened with Dillian White just a few weeks ago. The heavyweight division can change on a flip of a coin like that. So they have to be on their guard, and if Fury and Joshua get through, then we can start thinking about what may happen in 2021.
Is it? I know you said everyone's put their name in the hat, and I suppose that's understandable. You've got like Lucas Brown taking to Instagram and whatnot. If Derek and Usyk weren't tied up, I mean, will Usyk be annoyed now? Because if he wasn't tied up, I suppose surely he would have put his name in the hat, because he must be thinking that when he does potentially get a world title shot, it will be after Joshua Fury. So instead of wait for 12 to 18 months, Alexander Usyk could have jumped in, or is that just, I don't know, wishful thinking?
I think, look, Alexander Usyk wants to be heavyweight champion of the world. He's the best cruiserweight of recent times. We saw what he did to Tony Bellew. He dipped his toe into the heavyweight waters already, which was, lukewarm. Now he gets a real hard test against Derek Chisora, who is in the shape of his life. David Hay is literally holding the whip, I think, to him, and he's in great condition. I don't actually think David needs to do that much. I think Derek really wants to. I think it's a pride fight. I think he really wants to be the one that can sort of upset the apple cart here. I think he, whatever happens, I think he'll give it absolutely everything he has. And there's a lot of people who think that he can pull off the upset because they're not sure about Usyk's power at heavyweight. And Derek, what we do know is he's going to swarm all over you, and he's going to be, absolutely physically tough and grueling and on you as long as he can be. So it'll be very interesting. Usyk's got the skills. Chisora's got the size and the weight and the strength and the tenacity. So let's see. I'm expecting to see Alexander Usyk perform very well. I think that he's a brilliant fighter. So let's concentrate on that one first. Can Derek pull off the upset? Of course he could. But I would guess most people are going with Usyk, because he's just the more quality fighter, the better rounded fighter. But it's going to be a hard night. So I think he probably wants to test himself against a very strong, tough heavyweight first. I think once he's done that, I think he'll want to fight Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury as soon as he can. And that could be a slight fly in the ointment with the Joshua Fury situation as well. We all think it's sewn up and we all think they're going to fight in 2021. But Alexander Usyk could be banging on that mandatory door, and he could be a problem. And you remember as well, you've got Dillian White and Alexander Povetkin, and let's see what happens in November too. So, as you say, the heavyweight division can change so quickly, and Deontay Wilder will be looking for someone as well. So, what are we going to get? Are we going to get unifications and undisputed, or are we going to get fractured heavyweight belts and everybody claiming again? money talks, and at the moment, unfortunately, the situation of the world is talking, and that is you take the opportunities that are in front of you, and fighters have got to earn and have got to work, and the ones that have got to fight, like Alexander Usyk, Derek Chisora, it looks like Tyson Fury, and all the others. That's what they want. Dillian White's going to have 2 fights, since the outbreak, since the pandemic. And, okay, he probably didn't predict that would be the same one. Of course, he would have thought he would have beaten Povetkin, but he's got the chance to go again. It's a heavy risk, but of course, he's going to get a big payday as well, and he's going to get out twice. And for fighters who are earning money, that's really important at the moment. And the ones that can't get out, it must be terribly frustrating. So, look, lots of heavyweight battles ahead, lots to enjoy. Let's hope they all stand up with what's happening in the world at the moment. But if they do, I think by Christmas we'll have a slightly clearer picture on where people are going to head in 2021.
Let's talk about something that is mouth-watering from the weekend. We had sort of a lot of nothingness between March and June. I think we deserve this. As a good end to the year in boxing, we definitely deserve Loma-Lopez on Saturday night. And yeah, I suppose mouth-watering's the only... You could just put so many superlatives on it. It's just an absolute cracker.
It's a wonderful fight, and personally, I'm gutted we can't have it on Sky at the moment. It's a difficult time for everybody's business, and I've said many times we can't have every sweet in the jar. Would I have liked that particular sweet? Of course I would. Loma-Lopez is a fantastic fight, and but at the moment we've got matchroom contracts, we've got shows to concentrate on which are operationally difficult, and we've got one on Saturday night, and we've got to concentrate on that. Am I going to be watching Loma-Lopez? Am I going to be finding out everything about it? Am I already involved in the hype? Of course, I'm a fight fan. I love the fight. I think it's a great fight. I think Lomachenko, having the privilege of being ringside on a few occasions and commentating on him, it's like poetry in motion, isn't it? He's an elite fighter. He was probably the best amateur that's ever lived, or certainly one of them, and arguably the best professional fighter of his generation too now. Maybe after Floyd Mayweather, he's taken the mantle. I think Terence Crawford might disagree, or Canelo Alvarez, and obviously these pound for pound lists are obviously subjective. But I'm a big admirer of Vasily Lomachenko. I think he's wonderful, and I really want to see him tested. And Lopez is a test, is a dangerous test. I think he believes in himself. I think he's got a lot of qualities in his own arsenal. He brings that air of confidence to it as well. I think you're right. I think it's a mouth-watering match. It's one I think Lomachenko will come through, but I think it's a mouth-watering match, and it's very good that it's happening. Any good fight that is happening at the moment is a bonus, and I think that the fight fans out there should see it as that, and we all should be very excited about a lot of good fights ahead. But yeah, that's one.
Will you be watching with your Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia hat on, and potentially them guys wanting to fight the winner of Lopez and Loma, and obviously Devin Haney as well? So will you be watching with that sort of Sky hat on as well?
Listen, there's a lot of great matches. Campbell Garcia is another really good one. Devin Haney's back soon. There's some wonderful fighters, around the world who are getting that opportunity. As I said to you, we're concentrating on what's happening here and now in Britain at the minute. What's happening at between 7 and 11 at night in our matchroom contracts, and we've got a golden contract to finish as well. We've got some big box office events coming. We've got a packed schedule till the end of the year, and you've got to remember as well, there's a lot of sport that didn't happen earlier in the year that's sort of being sort of pushed to bookended to the last sort of few weeks of 2020. So scheduling's tough, and it's tough to get everything in. But look, all these fights that are being made are good. If it's Crawford Brook, if it's Garcia against Luke Campbell, as I said, and that division with Devin Haney as well, it's a fantastic one. You want to see how good Devin Haney is. You want to see, can he beat Lomachenko? Luke Campbell, I've always said, will become a world champion. And I think if it was anyone else in the corner apart from Vasily Lomachenko in August last year, Luke Campbell's performance, he would have become a world champion, because I thought he fought absolutely brilliantly. He just wasn't, he wasn't unfortunately on that same level as Lomachenko. But it was a great performance. I thought he was terrific as well against Jorge Linares when he was, going through all sorts of personal problems. Luke, he was my pick back in 2012 to win a gold medal, not AJ. He was my pick was Luke Campbell. I've watched him for many, many years, and I think he's got the talent and the pedigree to definitively become a world champion. Just needs a little bit of luck. He needs the right fight, and I'm sure he will become one. But it's a heck of a division around there, isn't it? It's pretty tough. So it's none of them are going to be easy, but maybe that'll make it all the more sweet if he can become world champion.
Yeah, because his 3 world title fights, interim world title fight, one of them would have been Vasily Lomachenko, Jorge Linares and Ryan Garcia. So obviously not taking it the easy way. You mentioned Brooke Crawford. where do we stand on that? Where does Sky stand on that? It seems to have died down quite a lot, but apparently it's closer. I mean, you're the man.
I think it is. I think it is closer. I think it will happen. And I'm not sure whether we'll be covering it. Obviously, we want to cover as much of Kell Brook's career as we can. We have, and we've loved having Kell Brook with us. Look, Terence Crawford, we were there when he fought Ricky Burns, and you know we've not had many Terence fights on Sky, but you know I'm a massive admirer, like I am, of Lomachenko and Canelo and all the top fighters. Terence Crawford's a wonderful fighter. He's arguably the very best. I'd love to see him in with Errol Spence. But Kell Brook looks like he's going to get the opportunity. I believe that fight's pretty much done. And, you know, we have to wait and see whether we can possibly get it into the schedule. And, you know, I'd like to. Obviously, it's a Kell Brook fight. And anything that has, you know, that has the music, the ring walk, you know, the razzmatazz that Kell brings. And obviously this is a very tough test for him, and it's a big step up again, and it's a step up that we'd love to cover. But you know, we have to look at it, and we have to see where we are with, as I said, the whole schedule of sport in the next few weeks. But yeah, it's another big fight in the calendar.
Thanks, Adam, and yeah, go and enjoy bubble life without Eddie.
I know, I miss him, and I speak to him every day. I'm telling you, he was so frustrated after leaving Milton Keynes. He called me on the way home, and you know he was gutted, and he's done everything right. He's isolated, but he still can't quite join us. So we'll just have to wait and see where that you know. We miss him. You know, it's great with Frank and all the Matchroom team and everything, but you know, I hate to say it, but you know, it's you do really miss it without Eddie, don't you?
He's going to crop that, and he's going to use that for the rest of his life and hold it against you. Yeah, thanks, Adam, and yeah, let's enjoy Saturday night.
Cheers.
Is your debt causing you sleepless nights? Knock your debt out with Debt KO. And your debt won't be the only thing keeping you up at night. Debt KO, free impartial advice on all your debt.